that's the most important part of this is how do I anticipate what could go wrong? How do I plan for what could go wrong? And then do I practice fixing the things that went wrong? In other words, in the scenario planning, it's a good idea to throw out a bad scenario where all the computers in the election hall have been corrupted. And now what do we do? And if you have to think about that during the actual event, when it happens on election day, you're probably going to have certainly a lot of stress, but probably also going to make some mistakes, and it's not going to be efficient, and we're going to have a disappointing voter turnout. On the other hand, if you imagine that in advance with your colleagues and with your team, and you say, okay, all the election systems have gone down. What should I do? And you have a plan and everybody understands the plan, then you can actually continue operations. So we call this a cushioning advantage, where the impact of the election system or the cyber hack on the election system, you've prepared for it, and you can quickly resort to an alternative diverse. So we're not a computer backup system, but a paper backup system or some other alternative, which I think paper is probably the most secure. And then you practiced it. So everybody said, you can say to everybody, okay, we're implementing plan X, and you go ahead and you can keep maybe it'll be a lower level of service. You won't be able to process voters as quickly, but you will be able to process voters, so you will be able to get the election done properly.
Can we summarize what the key concepts are as we close? What are the takeaways? What are Michael Coden's rules of the road?
The doing what some people call war games, some people call tabletop exercises, some people call scenario planning. Doing that is going to be the single biggest thing that will help you. Thinking ahead, many of you may remember the 6-Day War in Israel, and Moshe Dayan. I saw an interview of Moshe Dayan, and he said, and he was asked by the reporter, the journalist, how did you win this war in 6 days? That's incredible. And he said, we had a plan. And the reporter, the journalist said, how could you have a plan for a war? And think about it, we're at cyber war here, and elections and cyber attacks, that's cyber war on our democracy. So Moshe Dayan's response was, it's always easier to communicate changes to a plan than it is to communicate a new plan. So if you and your staff are all familiar with the plan and you've practiced the plan, just like you practice fire drills, everybody needs to know where the staircase is in a fire. You don't want to try looking for the staircase in the real event. So you have a plan. And if you can communicate with each other through mobile or landlines or whatever method you have as your backup communications, then you can communicate changes to the plan and be adaptable and adapt to the nature of the attack. I think so. That's number one, is this scenario planning, having a plan, practicing the plan, and then second is communications, making sure you can communicate with your team and tell them what's happening and what they need to do as in the plan, or if there are any changes to the plan, and communications with your local FBI, making sure you know who they are, making sure they're aware that you're going to need them on election day. And hopefully you won't, but if you do, it'll be really great to have their mobile phone number and be able to call them directly and get them involved. And then thinking about the cyber attack in terms of how do I minimize the impact of the cyber attack, thinking outside the box, like pulling the plug on my computer, shutting off my phone, if anything has been compromised, but it's no good. Now, let's say you have a backup laptop, you bring two with you. You have one, it gets compromised, you have another one. Do you plug the second one into the network? I wouldn't, because the adversary could hack the second one the same way they hacked the first one. So I would make sure that the backup computer, if you have one, is not plugged into the network. Use it offline. Do the best you can. Have a plan on how you can use it offline without plugging it into the network. So, Adam, I think those are, some really basic things that everybody can do, and they can make our whole election process a lot safer.